Good morning to all of you. Today I will discuss about soft skills. In my earlier two classes I have given you an idea about what is soft skill and how it is different from hard skill, and also I discussed about some other soft skills like team working ability and also emotional intelligence. Today, first, let us discuss about another great soft skill, which is called adaptability. Now, the word adaptability comes from the English verb adapt. Adapt plus ability is called adaptability. So, an ability to adapt is obviously adaptability. Now, what does adapt mean? The English word itself, adapt, comes from the Latin word. I think it's called adapto. The Latin word adapto means to adjust, to change yourself according to the environment, according to the needs. So, with this definition of the word, you get to know what is adaptability as a soft skill. As I told you, that soft skill is very hard to find out or to detect, because these are inherent in your behavior, in your attitude towards life, in your lifestyle. So don't confuse soft skills, any soft skill, with any hobby or any amateur or any other byway skill that you have. You may have a skill in music, you may have a skill in singing, you may have skill in painting, but those are not soft skills. Remember that. Soft skills are very hard to evaluate and to detect, obviously, except for certain experts in psychometric analysis who are psychiatrists. They, with some observations, acute observation analysis, could detect your degree, your ability for soft skills. Now, there are multiple soft skills, so adaptability is very important. Why? Especially today. Emotional intelligence obviously had been important and also is important today. Adaptability is something which changes according to the time. So, the adaptability skill that you have 10 years back may not be as important today after 10 years. So the word adaptability implies that you continue to change yourself, you continue to adapt yourself with the environment, with the society. Now, let us discuss certain aspects of adaptability. This concept of adaptability comes from biology, comes from environmentalists. You must have heard the name of Charles Darwin, a British naturalist. Now, he, in his great book, which is published in 1850, called Origin of Species, he proved, after a lot of research, he proved that only those creatures, those animals will survive and have survived in the history of civilizations who have adapted themselves, made themselves fitter for the survival. And in simplified way, he called this theory as the survival of the fittest. So only those who will survive, those who make themselves, continue to make themselves fit and fitter. So it's a concept of biology, obviously, and that concept was applied also by psychologists after Freud, after Lacan, devised their own ways to analyze psychology, to analyze mental activities, personalities, personal behavior. Today, in today's world, in all the fields, academic fields or in administrative fields, whether government or private organization, this skill, soft skill, adaptability, is given extreme importance. Why? Today, you may not have certain skill according to the need, according to the society, according to the demand of the organization. But in future, the organization may have different demand from you. Why? Because technology is changing quite fast. And with this technological and scientific progress and change, organizations, private or government, they also change themselves in their approach to work and to productivity. So, in order to increase the efficiency of the organization, it is required that every unit, every member, every candidate, every employee should update themselves according to the changing needs of the time. Suppose you must have visited certain nationalized banks and you have seen that quite old-aged employee, about 50 or 55 years old. 50 or 55 years earlier, there were hardly very few people who knew. There are hardly any concept of desktop computer, private computer. There are hardly any computer in our banks. Most of the banking works were done manually with large scale exercise books, manually writing down. So notice how difficult the task was. But those bank employees had to change themselves, had to relearn their skills, had to train themselves with the emerging computing technology. And today you will find most of the senior, no, I'm not speaking about the younger generation because they are quite aware and they knew that they had to learn computing skill. So the older generations had to change themselves, adapt themselves according to the need. Otherwise, they would face dismissal. They would be removed from the organization or they would not be promoted. So, it is an example that how it is the global need, it is the need of the hour to change ourselves, to change the future generation according to the time. So, as technology is changing quite fast, you have to change quite fast. You have to keep parity with the speed of technological changes. Earlier, desktop computer used to measure our skill, whether you know MS Word or other MS Office products, whether you know how to write, how to send email. Now in future, you may need other categories of skills, other different skills. I'm not telling you that knowing computer skill or computing or MS Word is a soft skill. No. Knowing that you have to adapt according to the time and having that ability to change yourself is the adaptability. So don't confuse that knowing technological skill or having ability to send email or using MS Word or other Microsoft products. Those are not soft skills. Those may be hard skills. Those belong to hard skills. Those who are specialized in computing, in computer science and computer application. So those are just part of the hard skill. But why you have to know that? Because this is the change. This is the change that technology has forced us upon us, upon this time, upon the society, upon the organization, upon the institutions. So the ability to change yourself, to adapt yourself, as Darwin says, and make yourself fitter, better to survive this global need of the hour, this global pressure, economic pressure, this global employability pressure. So you need to adapt yourself. So if you adapt yourself with the changing demands of the society, with the changing demands of the technology, then obviously you have this ability called adaptability. Now, let us discuss how one can have this skill, that is adaptability. What are the ways to acquire this soft skill called adaptability? Now, there are multiple ways, obviously, and these ways cannot be categorized or cannot be any hard and fast rules. I have just assembled certain, after reading certain texts, reading certain articles from management subjects, because this entire soft skill also is part of the hard skill included in the syllabi of management skill like business management. Now, let us discuss about the ways to acquire this skill called adaptability. First of all, we have to observe the changes taking place around you. You have to observe the changes in the society, in technology, in science, in global context, in the context of your country or the context of your state, context of your society, context of your family. Then you will be able to acquire this. This is the first criteria, that you have to observe what are the changes taking place around you. The second criteria, I think, is the most important criteria. You have to have an eagerness to learn and to relearn and to rehearse your skill. So I think that is when you observe that these changes are taking place around you, technological changes or social changes or different economical changes, you must have an eager heart, you must have an eager mind to adapt to that changes, to relearn the skills that you have already have. Now, the third means that you have to acquire adaptability is, I think, to accept and acknowledge the changes and appreciate the changes around you. Those changes may not be aesthetically, may not be morally extremely good or extremely helpful to the society, but you have to acknowledge those changes. You have to acknowledge and accept the changes taking place around you. Then will only you be able to acquire that change, adapt that change. Number 4, I think this is the most important way to acquire adaptability. That is, you must have a cognitive flexibility. In a simple way, you must have the flexibility in your thought process, in your thinking, in your behavior, that I should change myself. I could have to change, I might have to change my attitude towards society, towards environment, towards the global phenomenon, towards the science, towards technology. You may not like computer, you may not like using laptop, you may not like using smartphone. But if you want to adapt yourself, you have to change your mind first. Otherwise, you'll not be able to absorb those changes inside you. So, I have spoken about these 4 ways to acquire adaptability, this soft skill. And I have also told you that why these soft skill called adaptability is growing day by day, very important. Okay, so if you have any queries about adaptability, please post it in my group, and I will try to post it in my comment box, or I will try to clarify it. Okay. Now I have discussed multiple soft skills including emotional intelligence, teamwork abilities, adaptability, problem solving ability. All these are part of greater soft skills. But now I will speak about one soft skill which includes all these previous skills that I have spoken. And this skill is leadership skill. Leadership skill is itself a very ambiguous and collective skill. It includes all other soft skills like emotional intelligence, like problem solving ability, like adaptability, like teamwork ability. So also you need to have other skills like honesty, integrity, empathy, humility, confidence. All these taken together can help us acquiring this great soft skill called leadership. Today, if I ask you, who are the mentioned few names of great leaders, past or present, you might say the names of great religious or spiritual leaders like Swami Vivekananda. You may speak about political leaders like Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. You may speak about sports leaders like Virat Kohli, Steve Waugh. So different fields have different leaders. It is said that leaders are not created, leaders are not prepared, leaders are not made, but leaders are born. But I think leaders can also be made or nurtured or groomed. But one thing be sure, that great leaders at the initial stage, at least at the initial stage, they don't want to be leaders. They don't want it to be leaders. It is people, it is society who have made them great leaders, and they have accepted that responsibility. Leadership is also about responsibility, about commitment, about humility. So people have made or will make you a leader once they identify certain abilities, collective abilities within you. We'll discuss what are those abilities. But first of all, let us discuss about the modes of leadership. A great leader, whether it may be political leader, it may be spiritual leader, religious leader, or any other fields, you will find great leaders often may be very democratic in their attitude, maybe autocratic in their attitude, maybe very bureaucratic in their attitude. So there are different modes of leadership, different modes of leading society or organization or a community. So, or a political party or a sports team. Their different attitudes define their leadership. So you can, through their attitudes, call a leader democratic leader. You can call a leader autocratic leader. You can call a leader bureaucratic leader. You can call a leader very charismatic. You can call a leader reformist, transformational. Now, who are the transformational charismatic leaders? Charismatic and transformational leaders are those who had very radical ideas about the society, about environment, who wants to radically change the society and the environment. Initially, their thoughts, initially their propositions may seem very radical, but at a later stage, they may prove to be extremely effective for the society, extremely effective for the human beings. Now, talking about bureaucratic or autocratic or democratic leaders, these leaders can be found in large numbers around us in our society, who in their respective capacities, in their respective official post or unofficial status, try to lead the society, try to lead an organization in their own democratic or autocratic way or bureaucratic way, formal or informal way. Now there is another mode of leaders, and these leaders are called situational leaders. Who are the situational leaders? Leaders who can emerge as a great leader when the situation demands. In fact, this is one of the important factor of leadership skill, that you must overcome a crisis. You must have a problem solving ability in a critical situation. So this is called, and these leaders often tackle difficult situations in a great way, in an efficient way. That's why these leaders are also called situational leaders. So I have told you what are the different types of leaders across different fields, in sports, in religion, in spirituality, in politics. But now let us speak about the vital aspects, the vital abilities that a leader must have. What are, as I earlier told you, first of all, a leader must have accountability to the community, to the society, to the organization which he is leading, and leading like a captain of a team, veering it like a captain of a ship in a troubled seawater. So this is the first criteria, that you must have the ability to lead with accountability, with commitment. Number two, you must have self-confidence and also confidence in others. So mutual confidence and trustworthiness is the second important criteria in order to become a great leader. Third category, I think, is the vision. A good leader must have a good vision, and this vision must be based on the needs of the hour, on the needs of the community, needs of the society, needs of the organization that he or she is working for. So a great vision or goal or objective should define a great leader. The next criteria to have a leadership skill is, I think I have already discussed, is emotional intelligence and cognitive flexibility taken together. If you don't adapt yourself with emotional intelligence, so adaptability and emotional intelligence taken together should be seen as a great skill in order to be a great leader. And next, I think, is the humility. Humility and integrity taken together. You can deal with them differently. Integrity as different criteria and humility as different criteria. But I can tell you that humility is against the appearance of leadership. A leader must be bold, daring. This is the normal perception. But a leader at heart must be very humble. He or she must be very respectful to each member of the community, each member of the organization, each person of the society. If he is humble enough, if he has the humility, simplicity, then also people will interact with him. People will accept him as one of them. So this is very important, to have humility. That's why in management schools or in other fields, in military fields, when leaders are groomed, lead captains of a team, or in sports, they are selected, they are chosen in an alternative way, in a shifting way. A whole team, the members are alternatively, shiftingly given the responsibility to lead the team, so that each member knows how to lead and how to be led. That if you want to be a great leader, you want to accept that today you are leading, the next day someone may other lead you. So you must have that obedience, sense of complaisance to that leader also, each member also. So a good leader should know how to lead and also knows how to be led by other leaders. So this is a very interesting criteria for a leader to have. Now, what are the needs? What are the needs for leadership skills today? Today's world needs great leaders. This is undeniable fact. Most of the people today want to be very self-contained, very selfish in their life. They want to lead a happy domestic life without thinking about, without taking care about the environment, the society, the family. At most they think about the family. But today, what do we need? And not only the society needs, the prospective organizations, including government organizations, private organizations, they both require leaders to lead their organization. It may be financial organization, it may be administrative organization, it may be the whole society, which need future leaders. So there are people, there are lots of students, graduate students, postgraduate students in arts, in science. But today we lack people with great leadership skills. So these skills are extremely in demand. So as a student, as an undergraduate student of CBCS curriculum, you must know that you have to acquire, nurture this skill, including other soft skills taken together. Only then you will be able to have these leadership skills within you. And it needs a lot of focus, a lot of exposure in your area, in your family. You may start by leading your family. You may start by leading a group of your small group of your friends. You may start practice how to lead by leading a club or leading a smaller NGO or leading an informal group in your area, in your village. So this is the way you have to learn how to become a great leader for the benefit for yourselves, for your community, for your society, and for your country. So if you have any queries about regarding leadership skill or other soft skills, please post it in the commentary box. I'll try to address that question, address that query. Okay, thanks.